Good. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Heathrow Innovative Futures Leaders Programme webinar. My name is Helen Elsby. So for those of you who don't know me, my first is thank you for not just deleting the email that I sent you and logging into this call. I am the Chief Solutions Officer for Heathrow, and in English that means I look after all of our change and transformation here at Heathrow, whether that's through infrastructure build, through technology, people or process, or through our procurement routes. So I've been for those who don't know me, I've been at Heathrow for probably too long, some might say, but around 14 years now. And largely my background and my love is through infrastructure and creation of assets for the benefits of our passengers. So I just wanted to be really clear, as my sort of first email was sent out to you all, is that, you know, I have two hats on today. So not only am I a member of the executive team at Heathrow and, you know, on a mission to improve our world here at Heathrow through infrastructure and change, but I'm also a non-executive director of SECB, who are the organisation who run the IFLP programme. So I'm going to try not to mix up my two hats today. My SECB hat is very much about promoting what I believe is a fantastic product that's being out there into our industry. And my Heathrow hat is in a plea to all of you who work in engineering or infrastructure or even wider on those change agendas to really just give us an hour of your time today to listen to something about how we can help move our industry forwards. For those of you who do know me, you probably know that the last thing anybody would ever describe me as is a salesperson. So I am totally uncomfortable in that space. But today I'm also just going to put on my salesperson hat because I genuinely believe, from what I've seen of the programme, that this is something that can help individual organisations as well as our industry as a whole. And to bring that to life, I'm a great believer in the best way to sort of share what you know of these things is to do it through stories. And so I just wanted to share a short story with you today, which was when I joined SECB and I heard about IFLP. You know, I was talked to the CEO and he's sort of saying, you know, Helen, how can we reach your supply chain with this? And I was really clear and I said, I can't talk to my supply chain about anything that I haven't tried. So I went back into my own team and I said, I don't really know what this program's about, but the people who I've seen come back off the course through SECB seem to have a real buzz about them. So why don't we give it a go and see what happens? And so we started off with a couple of teams on a couple of members of my team on one of the cohorts, and then a couple more and a couple more. And about, I don't know how long ago, Simon, 6 to 9 months ago, I sat down, I brought them all together and I said, right, crunch point, because basically I now need to put, you know, almost the other way around, put my mouth where my money has gone and say, do I buy into IFLP or not? So I got the team around the table, two of which are sat in the room with me here, and said to them, you have to tell me the truth, okay? If this course is rubbish, you have to tell me, because A, I'm going to stop spending money on it, and B, I've got an opportunity to go back to SECB and say, look, this is what the feedback is, this is how we could do it differently, what do you think? And I sat them all down, I said, look, but it's really important, you can tell me anything. And I looked at Simon, who sat opposite me at the moment, and you'll hear from him in a little while. And he just looked at me with this really straight face on, very serious face. And I just looked at him and I thought, oh, this is not good. And he just went in a really calm voice, do you know what, Helen? I think it's probably the best course I've ever been on in my life. And I just went, you have the best poker face I have ever seen. It's just brilliant. And actually, Simon, thank you, because you did unlock the room, and Paul's with me as well. And actually, I sat with my team and they just sat there saying, and we did this and it enabled this and this is what we're about. And I actually gave some feedback as well that we've shared back into the team. And at that moment, I said to Derek, who's the CEO of Secretary, I said, do you know what, Derek, we need to get the messages out there. So that's what I'm here today. I'm here today with a Heathrow hat on that says my team have really valued this and they're going to share that with you today. But also as someone who's very passionate about our industry and moving it forwards, I cannot tell you the amount of places I've been where people have gone, how do we become more sustainable? How do we become more innovative? How do we use data and digital? And we spend all our time coming up with all the things that need to change in the world to enable it to happen. And I get quite frustrated by it because I'm like, well, if we all know it's got to change, why aren't we doing it? And I genuinely think that actually it's getting our future leaders around the table through programs like IFLP that will actually make us do something different, because that's when there's some of those problem statements, some of those ideas, some of those aspirations have the opportunity to turn into a reality. So that's as much as you're going to get from me today. I'm going to hand over to Sarah and the team, who will give you a bit more insight into what the program's about. And I'll leave it to the team and then I'll pick up at the end. Oh, sorry, couple of rules of engagement. If we can just keep our mics off while the teams are talking, that would be fab. We have got a little slot at the end where you can ask any questions. So do feel free. If you want to put them in the chat, then we can get prepared for them. But put your hands up at the end, put your cameras on at any point. This is as much about you making sure that you get what you need out of this session as it is about us telling you. So with that, I will hand over to Sarah.
Helen, thank you so much. And Simon, thank you very much for that, because it's my role to be the lead facilitator of IFLP. That's a lovely picture of me at some art gallery taken a few years ago. But when I'm in the room, it's much more like this. We're coming in and we're having conversations with the group, hopefully combining my knowledge with their knowledge, and allowing them to unlock their thinking as much as it is me setting up the programme, understanding their needs and designing an intervention or a process that will help unlock them and their knowledge. And what I wanted to do today on the session is give you an idea of what is it? What is this programme, course, intervention that we do? I'm going to ask a panel, what's it like to be a participant? And then actually give you some questions and observation times, as Helen said. If you have any questions during the time, if this is not working for you, stick your hand up. If you're desperate, come off mute and shout. I'd much rather your voice was in the system than we didn't hear from you and you weren't getting what you need, or you had something unanswered. And we kind of boldly called it the Innovative Future Leaders Programme when we designed the IFLP back in 2019. And that was the first iteration, just before something called COVID hit. We managed to get the launch done in the Team GB's headquarters, and before we had to take that group online. And at the time, the Harvard Business Review was really looking at how we could be innovative. And I started to look at these tensions that you need to think about in your businesses if you're going to give permission for innovation, and make sure that you get enough innovation, but actually it's solving the things that are important to you and your business, and actually the wider environment as well, as Helen said. And then since then we've had a whole load of things happen. There's a time on that world, a time clock. The climate emergency seems to have accelerated. And we've been told this by scientists forever, but we're experiencing the hottest global October, or we just have experienced the hottest global October that has been recorded. We've got all sorts of hybrid working, old ways, new ways. What does that do with innovation? That molecule on the bottom right is COVID. That hit us, and how did we have to work differently? And then how do we help those on the programme really have time to think? Because what I'm observing in all sorts of roles is the busyness. And thank you for spending an hour with us today, because we're busy. We multitask poorly. All of us multitask poorly. Our brains are not designed to do that. And so we don't necessarily get that time to think. And I absolutely worked with the groups, keep getting the feedback to keep them moving. Simon, I'm looking at you there. Constantly, I need more movement. Please make sure you do that, and also give you time to think around that. And so what is IFLP? I kind of drew this picture at the beginning because I envisaged a group of talented individuals coming onto the programme at the beginning. First workshops, not knowing each other yet or at the launch. And then starting to go along their journey, sharing ideas, thinking about what they could do, stimulating each other's thinking, and then challenging each other. I've tried it, it worked, it didn't. We learned this, we want to do that. And towards the end, that's what we hopefully end with, a really intact, combined cohort that really trust each other, really want to go work together, and are stimulated and challenged by each other. And that's really critical, because many of you will have leadership programs in your businesses. But what IFLP does is bring together strangers, if you like, from different parts of your industry. So we want to have clients, consultants, contractors, specialists and suppliers in the same room, sharing their problems, having the same conversation at the same time. We've looked to bring people in and out of the business to stimulate your thinking. We've got people from technical, retail, leisure, high performance sports, which was my old arena, construction, government and utilities. And bringing those pieces together, we have a programme that feels and looks different from many others that you could have access to, and hopefully does have that response that Simon is talking around. Who that is, the actual voices in the system are a number of these. So Kirk Vallis from Google, Ash Wallace from the world of sport, Chris Grant from sport and business, Mark Farmer, many of you will know, challenged, innovate or die. This is what we need in our industry. Philip Bond, who advises the Prime Minister in the science and technology. Keith Waller, again, you all know, Construction Innovation Hub. And Jessica Skilbeck, who works and has worked at BASE, and whatever the new acronym is for that, she is currently at. I'm not going to read the second line, but I can't miss Phil Wilbrahams, who was your chair at Heathrow for you, Helen, and often, but all our cohorts so far has come and has stimulated that thinking. So a group of this faculty will come in and support the learning of the group. And the design really was around your first or second innovative leaders sitting within your companies, not yet combined with anyone else. We then bring a cohort together, different thinking, different industries, just same industry, but different people around that. And that's me on the right, cajoling them, I think. And the idea of the programme is to really grow some skills. You know, making sure that we're giving space, time and challenge to learn. Thinking about their leadership, Innovative Future Leaders Programme. What is the leadership to change your industry? What's the culture that you want to create? Having ideas that are unlocked, but also implemented. Every individual does a business challenge during the programme that they're working on. They may not get all the way, but they come into the programme with something in their company that they believe needs fixing, and they've got consultants across the industry to help stimulate their thinking on that. Later on today, we're in London with cohort 5 doing their presentations at the end of that programme. And the thing that comes up again, I mentioned it earlier, how do you have a to think about list as well as a to-do list? So you really are beginning to unlock your thinking. What are the roots underneath that? It's about first and foremost, creating psychological safety, bringing this group together and allowing them to take risks, be vulnerable with each other. We have to stop impression management and understand creativity is not a gift. It's a skill that we can start to develop. And Kirk Vallis absolutely talks around that, and we'll hear a little bit from him later. Using your industry experts, but also we're learning from other worlds, is critical, so that you can make sure that you are stimulating your thinking, learning from other worlds outside your company and also from the faculty around that. And the programme is designed to give you some time to think, sometimes never enough, thinking about managing your energy as well as your time so you can be consistently at your best, working with that. And as I spoke about earlier, the business challenge allows you to really practically put your thinking, what you're learning, back into your businesses through making change that you believe and the business believes has to happen. In between each workshop, you get coaching and action learning groups. Coaching and one-to-one conversations with me to help people basically embed or develop their thinking, embed their actions or develop their thinking. And the action learning group are peer support groups. They set them up on, you would set them up on the first workshop, and then they meet in between each workshop. And what that does over the programme is you have something every month to keep the energy up. So what that looks like is 4 workshops of 2 days. So they are in the clouds, a sheep with no head and no legs for those who were early on in the call. And you've got the launch before we start. That's now done virtually, although we've had some feedback and we may look to develop that to make sure that people are really starting the workshop in their best space. The 2 birds are the making sure that you are having your coaching and your ALGs in between each workshop, and then there's a showcase at the end of the programme. That's a chance for you to bring your senior stakeholders together in London and present what you have done. So present the business challenge, make sure that's being listened to, but also what cohorts have chosen to do is also share the difference this programme has made for them. So what we're looking to do is go from having people who are absolutely struggling and thinking and challenged and want to change things to a group that are able to unlock smart thinking in each one of them, grow the ideas and nurture them. And just a thought on that, quite often we're trained brilliantly as students to come up with one right answer. Probably at least 20,000 times at school, you will have been asked to come up with one right answer and been given a tick and a cross or a cross because of it. And what that makes us brilliant is reductive thinking. What's the right answer? How do I get to a solution? However, when we want to be innovative, when we want to grow smart ideas, we have to use a different mode. So in that reductive thinking, you can almost have ideas coming to you, but you create rain on it that you protect yourself from. Potentially you react that the idea isn't going to work. We've tried it here before. This is too big, too difficult. You assume that you know a lot around it already. Your brilliant brain comes down into reduction and you kind of assume whether it's going to work or not. Is it a good idea or not? And then potentially one insists that we go on to the next thing or move on and think of another idea. Smart thinking, which we're going to offer you, is where you put some on those ideas, just for a bit of time. We're looking to expansive think. Suspend your judgment, seek to understand the idea, and then nurture it as if it's your own. And this is critical because nurturing it as if it's your own unlocks the bias in us. We all have a brain and we're all biased, and therefore we create in groups, in and out group, subconsciously. None of this is conscious. But if we have an idea coming from somebody who's in our out group, we may not even hear it. We may not bring it to consciousness. let alone nurture it. If it comes from someone who's in our in-group, again, subconsciously, we won't know this, we'll let it in and we will start nurturing it as if it's our own. And maybe that is an aha moment why you potentially find it hard to get your ideas and voice heard at times. So if we can all spend our judgment, seek to understand, nurture the idea as if it's our own, so when you get ready for the brilliant reductive process, you can then do that well. And the idea is, the best ideas are strong enough to survive that process. So what we're going to really think around is, how do you have that piece where you can share your ideas, have them stimulated, grown, your thoughts in there. As a cohort, you absolutely get encouraged to think about what you've learned, what mistakes you've made, share them so we can learn from it and the system become better. And I really hope we do allow people to share their concerns, and so they can come in with their brains and thoughts clean and be able to drive things through. I've whizzed through that, but I'd be very curious, what questions do you have for me before we hear a little bit more from Kirk Vallis, who is our one of our faculty? What are you curious to know more on? What idea did you hear? Charlotte, thank you.
Hi, Sarah. Thanks very much. That was really interesting, actually. It's quite exciting to hear about a different kind of program that exists for leaders that actually doesn't seem to follow the mold of some of the other ones. My question was, I may have misunderstood from the beginning. Each cohort, is that made up of people from different companies? So it's all within so the contractor, the consultant, they're all, it's a mixed group effectively.
Spot on, Charlotte. Yeah. So the idea of it is, when we sometimes have one or two from, so Helen was sharing that she had two from Heathrow, so we will allow more than one from one company, but we want to ensure that there's a diversity of companies and roles in the room, because we believe that gives you the best stimulation, essentially.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, but it's so there isn't a minimum number you need from each organisation. It's more the other way around. You need not many.
Spot on.
Yeah.
And that psychological safety piece. I know if we get too many people from one organisation, it becomes a group naturally, and then you're having to disrupt that group as a facilitator. If you get an out of balance, 2s and 3s in a 16 can work and do work, and we see them work really well.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah. Great, Helen.
So I guess my question, and it may be something that follows through to the panel, but how do you help individuals on the programme leave their day job outside of the room? Because, certainly the conversations I've had is these things need space, and they need to give the people the time to let go, to, but ultimately you come off of one of the sessions and you're straight back into your day job the next day. So how do you help people enable all of it to be joined up over the length of the programme without the day job slowing them down? Great
question, Helen. So we invite their line managers to the launch. So we start to contract around what time you need for this programme. The business challenge is, we've seen those most successful when they're almost part of your day job, so you're piggybacking on it, so it stays alive throughout that. The workshop's about every 3 months-ish, and we have the coaching on a month and the action learning group on another. So there are touch points every month to keep the energy up. And actually what we've seen with WhatsApp groups and others, cohorts will create space as well around that. And then we encourage it. So Kirk in the first workshop will talk about the importance of it and support it when people do it, celebrate it. And when they don't do it and their day job bleeds into the workshops, which can happen sometimes, we will really encourage someone as much as they can to be present. But if they need to go and do something, go and do it, and then come back with your mind clean, mind clear, because otherwise you're going to be here but not here. So
Thank you.
One more, I've got time for if there is one. If you're thinking it's someone else's, so please do put up your hand or ask the question if you've got one more to go. Charlotte.
Sorry, I was trying not to ask a second one because I thought I wanted to give someone else a chance. When we're talking about future leaders, at what kind of level of the career are you pitching, or not pitching, that's the wrong word, you trying to encourage the people to be at this point of the people who join?
Yeah, that's a great question, Charlotte. And again, if you think there's somebody, so different organizations, it looks different. When we designed it, we were thinking one or two below C-suite around that.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, that doesn't fit with every organization. My encouragement is to talk to Will and have that conversation if you're thinking about it, because how it's flipped really interestingly is some cohorts seem to have been more, just in how we've designed or Will's put them together, have been slightly higher up in their development, some slightly lower down, and then there's a variation within a cohort. So there's not a hard and fast rule. And Will, I can see you're off mute. I don't know if you want to hop in.
Yeah, I was going to say we have people on each cohort who come in at completely different levels in their career. So in our most recent cohort, which started in July, we've got some project managers who are reasonably new to their jobs. And on the same cohort, we've got some joint MDs. So we've got people who are at completely different times in their career. But when we're all put in one room together, the dynamics that creates, that instant collaboration, creates something really unique. So we don't get too precious on job titles or where people are at, as long as people have the right mindset to come in and join.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Fab. And I was going to say exactly the same thing, actually. Well, we had when we were talking about this webinar and just sort of sending it out to people, we got into that, how do we explain who we're attracting? And I said, you know what, we should just take it out, because everybody's job titles are really different. It's really hard to compare across. And, you know, the way I looked at it is more about who are the people who would really benefit from this kind of activity? Who are the people that are up for the challenge of problem solving into the future and have the mindset and the ambition to just go and do something quite different and then bring it back into your business? So my advice would be, think about who would really benefit from the program and who you see in your organization going on this journey for your business and for the industry, and don't worry about job titles and grade and levels at all,
or even age. And I think, Helen, that's such a point. It's a mindset bit. I mean, Phil Wilbraham's comes and supports with the piece. He walks in the room, he's a gentleman of a certain age, and you think you're bringing him to an innovative future leaders piece. And I bring him in mindfully up because he busts the bias, because you kind of look at that and you make up what he's going to say and do and be. And he is so innovative and so interesting in making change. And so it is that attitude, not that the age, that matters, I think, around this sometimes.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And thank you both. I will, in the programme as well, hold space, hold time to think. So 12 seconds is my minimum time that I hold to allow people to think, sometimes 20, 25. So if I stop, I'm not broken. I am just letting you think. So let's hear from Kirk. Kirk's phenomenal. I've worked with him for over about 10 years now. Was lucky enough to get him on board with this programme early on. He's hugely committed to it, and this is what he has to say about what he does in the programme.
My name's Kirk Vallis, and my day job is at Google, where I work with our leaders all across the organisation, all over the globe, to develop their ability to use innovation and creativity to solve problems and maximize opportunities. But my reason for being on this video is because I'm also a proud member of the delivery team for this program. And that's where my module as part of the program comes in. We specifically look at what are the traditional ways of thinking within this industry, and how do we disrupt some of that, whether that's to get competitive edge or just to have more impact in what we do, or on some of the big topics that are really affecting the broader construction world right now, things like sustainability and so on, where the way that we've looked at things in the past are not going to help us to be successful in the future. So I'll be sharing lots of tools and techniques, and also as leaders, how do we set the right culture and conditions for those around us to disrupt themselves and to bring new thoughts and ideas to the table, whatever the situation. But I'll leave you with this. One of the things I love most about working on this program is the diversity of the group. When people ask me, what are some of the big drivers of creativity and innovation? Number one for me is cognitive diversity. Just having as many different voices and brains around the table, as it were, on any given problem or challenge we're working on. Too often we find ourselves in an echo chamber, where actually the experience and the background, the ways of thinking of all the people involved are often so similar that people's voices and opinions are just an echo of each other. It's only actually when we get different perspectives and points of view and backgrounds and ways of seeing the world that we actually start to challenge our thinking. And this program does that. Even within the industry that you're in, there are people that come from different parts of it. And that is as brilliant, I think, to the program as the learnings that the leaders take away themselves. So hope you get to see some of you all in the future. Cheers.
Thank you, Kirk. And he's 50 times as loud and as energetic in real life. So that is just brilliant to have him on board. We wanted to spend about 15-20 minutes just getting under the skin. What is it like to be a participant? So Simon and Paul, thank you for coming in from Heathrow, and Beth, thank you for joining us from DEFRA for this. You can see Simon and Paul were on that series 3 participants, and Beth was on our series 2, which was the first one that we were able to do face-to-face actually, and come out of a lockdown. So that was a real privilege. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you can see them. Wonderful. And Beth, Simon, Paul, Beth, you're highlighted first. Just inviting, I've asked you to think differently. So bring an object. What is your object that links to innovation, please?
Okay, so the one thing I took away about innovation, well, not one thing, but the main thing, was that it's not invention. So I don't necessarily have an object, but I have a function of a normal household appliance that is going to sound very boring, but stick with me. So as Sarah alluded to earlier in the presentation, we're all really busy, and time is very, very precious. And that's not just at work, that's in life. I mean, everyone's got their own things going on at home. I'm a mother of 2 and have a busy day job. So the household chores are always a bone of contention in our house as to, they never get done. And for me, trying to find different ways of thinking about doing those boring chores has enabled me to have a better work-life balance. And the function on my washing machine has helped me do that, and I feel that it was an innovative way of doing the washing. We all know most washing machines have a timer function, and does anybody really use them? Not really. But I found that I was spending either my evenings doing the washing or all weekend doing mountains of washing, causing much disruption and arguments in our house about whose turn it was to do it. And I realized that from my dishwasher that I run after dinner at the night, it runs overnight and it's finished and it's ready in the morning. And I thought, hang on, why can't I do that with my washing machine? So now I put a load on in the evening and I time it so that it finishes for when I wake up in the morning. And now that doesn't sound very interesting, but I haven't invented anything, but I've just used an example from something else and applied it in the same way to something, and have made a real difference in the the niceness of the household, let's say. I'm in a much better mood most of the time. And no one's asking me for pants and socks all the time, which is good. So it sounds very boring, but I think for me, it highlights that if you take influence from something else, you apply it to something that you use in an everyday, or that you're stuck in a way of thinking about. It doesn't have to be invention. You can just innovate and change the way that you think and the way that you do things that you have done before.
I love it, Beth. I know it's phenomenal. And you also changed the way that you were managing your project. So you kind of did the micro and the macro around that within the organisation. And brilliant. Thank you for sharing that one. Paul, I'm going to go to you next. What have you brought with you, or what's an object that talks around innovation? Simon, I'll come to you, and then I want to know from all of you, actually, what was it like being a participant on this? Paul, over to you first. You're on mute.
Morning, everyone. Yeah, thanks for to talk to you all today. So I suppose my approach to innovation following the course has been about how I focus on efficiency, and my object is sort of similar. I mean, I like the washing machine concept. I really like that, because we also have that function, but also we do auto loading, so you haven't got to put the liquid in each time, so that saves a lot of time. That's one recommendation. But my object is a bike. It's symbolic of movement and getting out and finding space to create time to think. So I like cycling to work. I find that if I've got an important session where I need to think about what I'm going to say and deliver and sort of target something, that kind of movement and being able to work through that solution. Did you see my object? Yeah.
Have you come to work on?
No, it's my tool.
It's a long way from Maidenhead on that.
I feel like you stole that from a child, Paul.
And so yeah, that's my object. I think a lot of the course is about creating space where you can feel innovative, and movement is one of those things that helps you unlock your brain function and you move to, I think, your right side of your brain. And there's a lot on the course about cognitive function and how you can unlock it, and psychological safety, and all those things come together really well to help you think through how you lead yourself before you lead others. And for me, that was one of the most important things I got from it, and I've gone on a bit of a journey of self-discovery since the course about how I better myself as well as my team, because you can then project better to your team and you're a better role model and example.
Brilliant, thank you. And that continued, that inspiration. I mean, you already were somebody who wanted to learn, but actually that continued inspiration to learn and change is inspiring. Yeah, thank you. Simon, for you.
Okay, so my object is I'll probably have to put this up so you can see. Made of 3 components. We have a battery, a key, and a piece of string, which forms my object. So for me, innovation, you need energy to innovate because you're exploring something new. The key was about unlocking doors, which certainly on IFLP, I unlocked a door, and I'll come back to that in a minute. And then the string was kind of tying loose ends up, which IFLP kind of enabled me to tie up loose ends in my mind and been exploring stuff. So that was a great benefit. But if I come back to unlocking doors, I go back to the first time I met Keith Waller, and we were talking about the value toolkit, and it really resonated with me. And I thought, wow, someone who talks about value. So I spoke to Keith and got his details and got in touch with him after the course. And he came back to me and said, get in touch with another person. I then contacted them. I ended up landing myself on the launch of the Value Toolkit in London with all of these people from industry who've been developing it for a year. It totally blew my mind, but it's such an interesting episode. And that's kind of what the IFLP did for me. We unlocked it. We've been piloting it. We haven't concluded that yet. It's been quite a complicated thing to do, but Costain were part of the course. So I met someone who I now work with on a daily basis, which was quite interesting. So yeah, that for me was quite a powerful part. But I mean, the rest of the program was, as I said to Helen, was massively transformational on a personal and a professional basis. So.
And Simon, it was just again phenomenal when you had that spark in the programme. You'd gone and made those connections and been on the programme, the launch, I think, between 2 workshops, and we were like, my goodness, well done.
Yeah, I think that's a one-off event because it's been launched now, so it probably won't happen for future. But yeah, no, it's amazing. Sarah frozen.
Does anybody else think that Sarah's frozen?
Yeah.
So let's keep going in case we've lost her. So I think her next question was around, you know, what was it really like to be on the programme, and a little bit, I think, of what have you taken away. So Beth, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I absolutely have to second Simon's reaction when you asked him what the programme was like, in that it absolutely is the best course I've ever been on. And for me, the change in the way I was thinking, or just the highlights I was taking from the course, were quite immediate. But even to this day, and I was on cohort 2, so I can't even remember when I finished. It was at least 2 years ago now. I'm still reaping the benefits of it, not just through networks and connections that we made. Some of the people on the course, we still chat every now and then and support each other in problems that we're having. You know, guys, how do you tackle this, etc. But equally, in a personal perspective as well, just the way that I approach things is different, and that's still having an effect in my day-to-day life at work, and can kind of reap the benefits from a career perspective, but also from a personal perspective. It was just a whole lot of fun. And I think I heard a word recently around voluntold, and I was voluntold to attend when I started. I was at a point in my life and career where I was like, really don't think I've got time for this. But you know, if I say no now, I'll always be the person that said no. So yeah, okay, fine, I'll do it. And thank God I did, because it has absolutely ignited stuff in me that I didn't even know was there. So it definitely is the best course I've ever been on.
Brilliant. I love that word. I'm going to remember that. Well, welcome back, Sarah. Paul, do you want to?
Helen.
Yeah, so really similar themes. And I think a lot of what Kirk said in that video was the environment that you're in the course. Will said it as well, it's very unique. And that allows you to go into it sort of to challenge the norm and not think it's just a normal course going through lots of theory. You go away with a bit of a handbook, but you don't always refer back to it. It's actually more about how you approach theory of leadership and working with teams, high-performing teams. And you basically have to go away and understand how you're going to take responsibility for your actions. I think that's one of the biggest things that I took away from the course, is that you need to be driving innovation yourself to expect others to be doing it. And bringing that diversity of thinking is one of the things that Kurt talked about, bringing that into the room, working out how you can approach things in a different way. And that was one of the I suppose, most compelling things from the course for me. And you then get that hammered home because you have such great people that come speak to you from industry. So it's not just, this is how you should do it. It's actually that people come and say, well, this is how we did it. And it opens your eyes. Like Carl Simmons, chief futurist, came in and said, I did this in Thames Water. Big organizations that you think can't innovate, they can. You just got to keep in driving for that and understanding what's right in front of you. So I've taken a lot away in that space around data in Heathrow and how we can better use data. I work in security, and that has been because of the way he spoke about the data that he had in Thames Water. What was it? What was at everyone's fingertips but not being used around construction safety? So it's those kind of real tangible examples that allow you to get really into the thinking and take stuff away, and then you've got the chance to stagger that over 3-4 months in between each sessions to build on that.
Amazing. And Simon, I'm not sure whether you've spoken yet or not, but if you have, give me thumbs up. If you haven't, you go.
Okay, no, I haven't. Yeah, but I'll probably build on what everyone said, really. I think certainly the connections that we made, which Beth had picked up on, was amazing as a group. I mean, the cognitive diversity was very much present in our group, and we all formed, I think each cohort has formed their own bond. I mean, we met up recently and got together, and that was really good. Everyone came to Heathrow and we showed them around, and I think we're going to meet up in another 6 months and explore others industries and kind of grow together. And also I think Will's setting up these quarterly where everybody comes together. You won't get everyone, but it's just like this kind of IFLP family come and we talk about problems. Like we had a session on Friday, so that was a real, although you've got a 12-month program, it doesn't end. It's going to continue, and it's fantastic to build those connections. As an industry, we'll grow together and change and learn off each other, which is massively important.
Yeah, I think it's a really great bit to talk about the power of many and realise it. If you want, it is not just a 9-10 month program. It's a group that you have access to, energy from ideas in and out the whole time. I'm really curious if anyone on the floor has any questions, so please put your hands up or just put them in chat if you have. We've got another sort of 6 minutes with this group, which I would love to make sure they're answering the questions you're worried about or wanting to know about. But what advice would you give to somebody who was thinking this could be for me or someone I know within my industry? What advice would you give to them about how to show up, I guess, in the program or in the group? Go on, Beth. Go on. Yeah.
So I think you have to give yourself permission to step away from the day job, and that's helped by the buy-in from your line manager or nominee, whoever is in that chain that has put you forward or voluntold you to go on the course, and really just allow yourself permission to do it. We all take holiday, and some people are better at it than others, but you can step away from the job for a couple of days every 3 months. Equally, as Sarah said, you build yourself into your daily life at work, and you'll find that you'll reap the benefits very quickly if you're able to do that. So I think give yourself permission to step away, give yourself permission to give you to be present in the room. Keep an open mind. At first it might feel a little bit strange because it's a little bit different from any other kind of leadership program or course that you've ever been on, and so just kind of go with it, and if you go with it and you allow yourself permission to do it, then you'll reap the benefits, definitely.
Thank you, Beth. Paul, what about you?
Thanks. My advice would be, it's very similar. It's about being immersed in it and allowing anyone within your teams to take on the opportunity. I think it's open to all, and if you've got someone who wants to learn and develop, that this course is perfect for them. And it's not just for people that you think might be working in a more innovative or creative or design space. It's open to all parts of the kind of the project or delivery life cycle, whatever you're working in. And so that for me is the main thing. Is I didn't go into it thinking that I was particularly innovative and working in an innovative space, but I've taken a lot away that actually is my version of innovation within what I'm doing. I think that's the key thing for me. It sort of breaks the norm. So just be open-minded. It's open for all.
And Simon.
Wow, how to build on that? Definitely being present is I'll reinforce that as such a vital thing to do, to immerse yourself in the content and go and explore. Really, that's what innovation's all about, and unlocking new challenges and coming back and developing. Really, it's fantastic. So I'd like to do it all again, but it was a bit group that the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah, lovely. And we're constantly thinking about how do we bring these brilliant past participants together. And I love watching when you're giving it that energy, but also SecV Will are also helping with that energy to give you. Thank you for your time. Any questions either for the panel or for us? Please put up your hand or put them in chat. Thank you, Beth, Paul, and Simon.
Right, so we don't seem to have any questions coming through. You know, obviously, feel free to post them if you want to, or for those of you who know me, obviously drop us a note. Will, are you going to take us through next steps now?
Yes, so hi everyone, I'm Will Hunter, Programme Director at SecB. So my plan after this, I'll send everyone here who's attended further information on the programme. I believe I've already sent the brochure, but I'll send you just some further collateral to help you understand more about it, whether it's about any of the key pillars, so the cross-sector insights, which I mentioned earlier, so how we have really unique relationships from covering each element of the construction and built environment sector, or whether it's about the business challenges that individuals and their companies bring to the programme as well, or even a bit more about the speakers we have, the innovators from inside the construction industry, in government, and then way beyond, such as Google, as you saw. So next steps, we have our next cohort starting in January 2024. And I'm happy to offer anyone here today a £500 discount for anyone who'd like to get involved in January. So I want to give you enough time to help identify the most suitable person who can help you drive a culture of innovation in your business, as well as developing that individual themselves. We also provide a 20% discount for anyone who would like to nominate 2 participants on the same series. So just like what Helen said, that's what Heathrow do, and that helps it be less of a lone voice. We have other companies who do the same, where they have 2 participants in completely different areas of their business, but working on the same business challenge, which is always interesting. But like I said, I'll send you further information after this, and I'd absolutely love to get in a call or come and meet anyone just to talk you through further details of the programme and just help you understand more. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Will. And, you know, as all good project management organisations, we're coming in bang on time. So I just want to finish by saying a massive thank you to Will, to Sarah, Beth, and my team, of course, who are in the room with me, Simon and Paul as well, for just sharing their experiences. As I said, I'm not a salesperson. That's why I got Will to do the commercial bit. But as you can see, I do love a good deal. So I would definitely take it away, have a think about it. You all know me. Most of you know me. If you don't, then do please reach out if you want to ask me any questions. But actually, the team that you've heard from are the people that have really been through the experiences. And for me, with my Heathrow hat on, you know, to have a team that's come back and feels really motivated, particularly as you know, through Heathrow, we've been through a pretty rubbish time, and our career development and all of that just sort of came to a standstill. And it's been a real opportunity for the team to get out and reconnect with industry in a different way. And actually now I'm in a place of going, Paul and Simon both work in our infrastructure team, but they've said to me, you know, it'd be really great to get some of our procurement people on it. It'd be really great to get some of our tech people on it. So we're also just sort of moving out of that infrastructure space as well in the future. So yeah, thank you all for giving me your time today. I know how busy everybody is. I hope you found it useful. Please do reach out if you want to know more. And for those of you who I see sort of walking around Compass, again, do grab me or the team if you want to find out. We'll be in touch. And as I say, if there's anything else that you want to know, then just drop us a note. And with that, I'll give you 3 minutes to go to the toilet and grab your cup of tea for your next meeting that I'm sure you'll all have. Thank you once again, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you
all.
very much.
Have a good day.
That's been great.
Thank you. Bye.
Very informative, very useful.
Bye.
Appreciate your time to share the ideas as well. So thank you very much indeed. And thanks for those extra 2 minutes back as well. I need that.
Thanks, Tim. Take care.
All right. Cheers. Cheerio.
Thank
Bye
you.
now.
Bye-bye.